Ricky and Simone. We are here on the cockpit of Lady Africa. Guess what? We're in Grenada.
I know.
Which means that we made it across the ocean. Mission accomplished for Lady Africa on the sailing part. We're nice and relaxed. We're sitting here waiting to go ashore because our COVID test will be approved. And you've had time to chill at anchor to rest. Now we're going to go and reflect back on the last 3 months since you left Cape Town.
Welcome to Sailing Lady Africa. I'm Ricky, and this is my wife Simone.
After 2 years of hard work on our boat, she's finally ready to take us from South Africa across the Atlantic to the Bahamas. Be sure to join in our adventures by subscribing down below.
Sitting here now today, 3 years after you built the boat, you started the mission and you started building, the crossing, the provisioning, the freaking, all of that. What would you say to somebody, another young couple that wanted to do exactly what you're doing? What small piece of advice would you give them?
I think in the sense of boat building wise, I think choosing the correct platform for the mission that you want to do is vital. So if you plan on an ocean crossing as opposed to buying a boat that's already somewhere where it's in a beautiful location, you can do local sailing, a lot more forgiving on what equipment you need on the boat and all of that. I think buying the right boat is number one, the most powerful thing. Like, we were really hard set on the catamaran, and I think maybe we shouldn't have been. I think we should have possibly looked at more of the monos that we initially looked at more of them. And for the reason is simply we would have gotten more boat for our buck and would have been an easier platform to get ocean ready as opposed to getting a catamaran with all the systems and everything.
So don't be stuck on a specific boat. Look carefully.
Yeah.
Choose carefully.
Choose carefully
For the mission.
and for the mission.
Okay.
The mission essential. If your big goal is the crossing and nothing else, then get a boat orientated for that and not really for small cruising and all of that. But if you rather want to get a boat that's cruising orientated and look at already where it is, you know, Caribbean, and know the pros and cons. But yeah,
But also
boat formation.
if you're into the restoration part of it, like rebuilding a boat or whatever, you must be prepared to have many moments where you feel like you're just going to quit. Like, you really have to. It's a mental game and you need to work through it if you plan on doing a restoration.
And it doesn't come easy.
No.
And it doesn't take overnight.
No.
So it's a long game.
It's a
long
really
haul and
yeah.
it's,
Nothing is 3 months, nothing is 6 months. I say if you look at restoration projects, look at a year and on.
depending how bad the
And that's if you're working full time.
Be
on it.
realistic.
Yeah, be realistic.
Participate.
Yeah, it takes a lot longer than any other thing you
Yeah.
think you could accomplish.
So let's break it down into the legs that you traveled, and I'm going to ask you just one memory that sticks in your mind, good or bad, one highlight or one low light, starting with your trip from PE to Cape Town.
Go for it.
The dolphins. We had so much dolphins. I loved it. It was really nice. I think it was a really good trip. We had good weather. It was sunshine. It was like I think it was one of my favorite trips, to be honest.
What were the emotions like when you left PE?
It was excitement, but also nerves, because the boat wasn't like finished yet.
Yeah.
It wasn't really prepared. We didn't plan on leaving the day that we did, but it ended up being a really good sail. We didn't have any problems. And but coming into Cape Town was, I think, like
Huge moment.
huge moment.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think probably one of the biggest. It was, I think, yeah, arriving Cape Town was a big moment. That was probably, leaving PE was, I'd say, probably the biggest moment. And then arriving in Cape Town was like the first step to our journey. So that was big moments. Other than that, it was a good sail down.
Okay, then there was almost a year in Cape Town where unplanned freaking COVID struck.
Yeah.
You had to make huge plans to get funding, to get working, to hunker down in Cape Town for an undetermined period of time. What are the memories of your year spent in Cape Town before the crossing?
I think the time spent in Cape Town was a good. Looking back at it, was a good time, but it was a really hard time. Initially, we thought we were just going to be in Cape Town for a month, and then as everything started progressing, we thought, okay, it's just going to be another 2 months, and then it ended up being a year. And then we started, going. As we started going into the second month, we realized we need to start working again to make money, and so it was pretty much a year of work. But the good plus side was we managed to add quite a bit of stuff to the boat.
Yeah.
We put new sails, which is vital now. Just getting a feel of Caribbean prices, it's a very good choice that we worked in Cape Town and made a bit more money.
Yeah, a year in Cape Town I think was a blessing in disguise. Really.
Yeah, and Cape Town's an amazing city, so it was awesome.
People that always seem to ask, how do these young people cruise around the world? How do they support their lifestyle?
I think we don't show a lot of the work that we do to create funds, but even while we're sailing, while we're in Cape Town, while we're in PE, we never stopped working throughout the entire boat build. And while we're sailing now, we still have good connections that give us a lot of work. And so whether they're in the Med or wherever they are, doing design work and supply work for them and consulting, so that keeps it busy.
Now embarking on the first part of the journey to head to Grenada. First leg we planned Cape Town to Walvis.
I think
Lowlights was losing my microwave.
yeah, I think lowlights was the heavy weather that we got into. We tried and slow down a little bit so that hopefully the big punch of the front that was sitting up in Luderitz would pass. Days leading up to that were fantastic sailing. We had great sailing up to there, and then obviously that pressure system that sits over Luderitz just intensified, and we kind of had no options to just batten down the hatches and go through it. But after 36 hours of pretty gnarly conditions, we decided, well, we don't feel like doing another 2 days of it, so we pulled into Luderitz. Everything calmed down. We left Luderitz with an easy sail up to Walvis. So it was intense for 36 hours, but other than that, it was a good sail.
It was good to check out Luderitz too.
Yeah,
See how
that was a plus.
I think it's a town that very few people actually see.
Yeah.
So it was
Turned
nice
that into an opportunity.
It was nice to actually go stop there and see what it's about.
I think the anchorage is a little not as good. The water conditions and that.
No, the water was pretty murky and gross.
Dirty, yeah.
It wasn't the greatest swimming conditions.
But I think the yacht club with the nice beach landing is quite comfortable. That's really nice. And I think Walvis in a whole and Namibia in a whole, I think it's
very clear.
pretty epic. I think to anyone wanting to
and
do
we
that.
had good food everywhere we went.
Yeah, Namibia,
we didn't
without
have
a
bad
doubt.
food.
It was an epic trip. It was really awesome.
So the people, the country.
Very nice. I would rate
Yeah.
Namibia like top destination. Like definitely check it out. Don't skip
don't
Namibia.
skip it.
In January, doing final checks and then heading out into the Atlantic. What are your thoughts and memories of the very first leg, Walvis to St. Helena?
I felt it was long, but then little did I know that it wasn't going to be as long as the Grenada trip. But yeah, I felt it was long, but it was exciting because it was our first part of crossing the Atlantic.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think it was a good sail besides the steering problems we had, which ended up being a little bit pain.
I think obviously the as a skipper the worst part will come into mind, and that's having any great mechanical kind of problems. Having an unforeseen thing like we had where we had water contamination in the hydraulic system. That was a big kind of unforeseen thing. You could expect it to be other things. We started running around thinking it's pumps and all of that. It just turned out to be we changed the fluid and all was good after that. So good leg, but it wasn't an intended stop either. We just put St. Helena as a safety stop because we knew that St. Helena was closed. I think it was still worth a stop we did some good diving.
And the short hop, the decision to go to Ascension.
It was a lot of paperwork to get to Ascension.
Yeah.
In the sense, like being on a boat, you don't have access to doing it. And so luckily we had my brother who could do it. If we didn't, I don't know how we would have gone about it.
Was it worth it?
It was.
The paperwork?
It was definitely worth
Absolutely.
it.
Right.
Definitely.
Absolutely.
But yeah, if you can do your paperwork before you leave the next port. I mean, we didn't think really we'd go to Ascension. It was kind of like a maybe stop.
Well, Ascension became more out of necessity for hydraulic fluid, which we
Yeah.
couldn't get in St. Helena. So then once we had the hydraulic problem, we needed to add more safety stops, and that's why Ascension came in, I feel.
But also not being able to stop
we needed
at
land
St. Helena. Yeah, we really like, oh man, we just want to see something at least. So
Yeah.
it was also a big motivation to stop in Ascension to actually see something on the crossing.
But I would say Ascension, 10 out of 10, must stop.
Yes,
Amazing,
awesome
I think.
people,
Nice.
People,
Good
super
diving.
nice, super friendly.
friendly sharks. They want to greet you
Yeah.
all the time.
And then second last leg, Ascension to Brazil.
I think sailing conditions was the best.
Beautiful sailing conditions.
Best sailing
Freaking-
that we had,
Yeah,
for sure.
without a doubt, that was the best sailing
And
there.
most comfortable. It was like we were
Yeah.
sitting in the water. We weren't
No, it's
bibbing and
perfect.
bobbing the whole time.
Yeah.
And then pointing towards Grenada, that last leg, the last and the longest leg, and possibly the toughest leg.
I'd first start with Fernanda, obviously not being able to go ashore there, but I still think that if people are willing to do the anchorage, which is not the most comfortable, definitely by no
Yeah.
means. Got a big rolling swell, it's on the beam, and then you've got to oppose wind directly on the bow. It makes for an uncomfortable anchorage, but I think it is worth a stop maybe for 2-3 days. It's an expensive island to do, but I think it's beautiful. Leg coming up, we opted to go the northern route as opposed to going onto the coast, catching the current. And I think that decision's based on this boat and what its performance is, and it doesn't like to beat, especially in bigger seas. In small flat conditions, no problem. But I think in the bigger seas we would have had to had about 3 days worth of beating, and I think making the decision to go north was a good decision, and it set us up for a good angle. But we still, yeah, for I'd say 12 days, we had it on the beam all the way.
And not just
So-
that, there was no sun.
Yeah, no
It was
sun,
just cloudy and it rained a lot.
so we weren't charging really well. We had to shut down one fridge. But yeah, nothing major.
No,
it
it
was
was,
smooth.
yeah, it was
The
smooth.
steering was the best it's been. That's it when we did the hydraulic change. No hassles with steering at all.
At
To be in Grenada.
we come in at night every single time.
Every single leg, yeah.
Only time we made day was Luderitz and Walvis. Cape Town was at night. St.
Yeah.
Helena at night. Ascension at night.
We've got to slow down.
Lando at night. Always night. Grenada at night.
How are you feeling right now on a Thursday morning? Just about to start exploring the
Excited.
whole of the Caribbean.
I think we're beyond anxious. I think super excited to get the text message that says your COVID tests are negative. You guys can come ashore and check in.
What are you thinking just about the next month ahead of you? What are you going to be looking for?
Checking all the islands out.
Yeah.
The plans to Grenada and Curacao, and then the Grenadines, and we'll hang around south for hurricane season. And as hurricane season passes, then we'll look at heading north, doing the Caribbean chain, and depending on time, then decide either Bahamas or Cuba, and then come back to Bahamas if we do Cuba first.
For 3 years of your lives, you've been with this project now, and it's just really starting to get off the ground. The nice part's coming out.
Yeah.
How would you say this whole project has impacted on your marriage?
I think it's definitely made us stronger. But I do see how it can make people break up, for sure. Like it's tough. It was the sailing not so much, but the boat building was very tough. And there's a lot of times like we both would go off at each other, but then you just have to realize that it's not because of the person, but because of the situation that you're in.
I think the boat build is a really compact explosion, and you transition through the phases so fast. You go from having money to buying a boat and thinking, cool, you're almost there, to going nearly broke, to going back to work, to going to arguing being broke and working 12 to 15 hours a day to try and push through, because you know you've got too much in it. You're going to lose too much if you pull out now. So you just keep on chugging at it, and then you're working, and every cent keeps on just digging back into the boat. I think sometimes what we did was we were just like, okay, it's too much. Take the day off, go watch a movie, have supper together somewhere, and just distance our way from the get away from the project for like a day, even 12 hours, and just reset again and be like, okay, tomorrow's another day. Let's get up, let's push, let's drive, let's finish.
Take a break.
Yeah.
Don't take things personal.
Yeah.
And just be there for each other.
Provisioning the boat for the crossing, easy peasy. Doing the coastal cruising, easy.
Yeah.
Even the Atlantic, for the most part, it was an easy crossing. It's long. There's no doubt about that. If you think, I mean, for me personally, it's too long. I don't think I'll do another crossing soon.
Going back between now and 2018, choose example of the low light, or can you tell me what was the lowest point in this entire project for you guys?
Lowest point would definitely be we had hauled out already. The boat was out of the water. We had taken out a lot more of the interior than we thought we were going to take out. We found a lot more rot, and we couldn't just close it up. We just kept on digging, and there was a stage where it was just bare hulls. There was nothing inside, and I thought to myself, I don't know if we're going to finish this. And that is definitely the lowest point in the boat.
I do. I remember that. It was a very low moment. I still think I picked you up from the floor and I was like, we're gonna go to the movies.
Yeah, it was that.
It was that day.
What did you say was your highlight?
Of the boat build.
Yeah, the entire boat build.
The day we put the boat in the water. Oh my word, I was a wreck.
No.
I was crying all the time.
Oh.
When we painted her.
No. Engines.
Oh yeah, Ricky's engine.
That was the best moment. Knowing that we were going from that old skadonk thing in the middle here to two new beautiful engines from Vitas.
That's something that played on Ricky's mind all the time was engines.
Yeah, and they've been sweet, eh? You know, we run them.
Yep.
They've been.
Vitas, baby.
They've been epic.
And a highlight, including the sailing, like what is a sort of a really great moment for you guys to say, when you say to yourself, this has been all worth it? Like, what is that moment for you?
I can't pinpoint a moment, but it's more of like a generalization of getting to the places you're sailing to. Like, I feel like getting to the places, because our journey has been so difficult, that when we get somewhere, it really feels like we've made it. I mean, P to Cape Town isn't even like a big moment in the sense of we're not doing a crossing, you're just going from one town to the next. But you know, we never actually thought we wanted to get there, but in our mind, like, it was, when are we ever going to get sailing?
So it was the proof of it.
So getting to each place has just been amazing.
Every time you pull into a new, even though it's a port that wasn't really like, it's not really on the list, excited to do, it's huge. Every time we pull in somewhere, go ashore, those are awesome experiences. I think the build definitely enhances the travel, but I also think it makes you, it might have a negative in the sense that it makes you emotionally attached to the boat a lot more.
And finally, just anything else that comes to mind, just in talking to everyone out there.
Probably say to anyone wanting to do it is, and this would be my kind of only advice as a go-to advice, choose your mission correctly. Buy the boat for the mission. And I mean, a lot of us don't plan on, I mean, we don't plan to be on this boat for the next 10 years sailing the Caribbean. We still plan on having kids and all of that. That is still our plan. So if your plan is for now to go sailing, don't try and get a project boat and go do a project boat. Rather settle for less in the right location and go and explore and enjoy it to the maximum.
Yeah, if you're not
And
too phased about doing an Atlantic crossing or whatever, look at a boat in the destination you want to sail in.
Thanks to everyone that always wrote positive comments and congratulated us on the crossing. It's been epic, and having you guys with us has been. And to Glen for the trip by a donkey, man. Thanks for coming along.
Glen's now part of the furniture, but now he's leaving us, so I don't know. I felt like my favorite.
He's been a huge part of this journey. It's definitely made the crossing a lot easier. Having a third watch is huge. To anyone thinking of doing it, I mean, if you're comfortable having a third person, it's without a doubt makes the journey a lot easier. So anyone that can add a bit of smile, a bit of excitement, positivity, I think that's the key. Glen's missed the positive.
Always.
You have to say to your supporters, your fans, your patrons, and your critics.
I think our supporters and patrons and stuff had a big impact on where we are today. I mean, there's many times we were like, what are we doing? Why are we doing this? And the comments and support of everyone was a big motivating factor for us. And yeah, I think if we didn't have that, I don't know if we would have been able to finish. And even the negative comments, I mean, it was a good push to prove people wrong.
Positive advice is always well received. Negative breakdown, nobody cares about that stuff.
So you spend a lot of time creating content for your followers. You spend a lot of time filming and editing. You spend a lot of time researching, as I said, and you know that takes resources. So I know you don't ask anyone much to follow and to subscribe, but you'd like people to subscribe. Become a patron for a couple of dollars.
I think it's great when people support. I mean, it's not a must. And I think since we started doing the YouTube channel, I've realized the value of actually helping other people out. And so what comes around goes around. You help me, I help the next person. And I think that's what sailing, from my perception, I think that's what the sailing community is.
And even if you can't financially afford to support someone on Patreon or whatever, by watching the person's ads on their videos, as irritating as it can be to some people, by watching the ads you are donating to them because we are getting paid for the ads we watch. Sharing the videos
and sharing the videos is huge.
Telling people, oh, you know, this couple watched them, they're really good. Here's the link or whatever.
Or enjoy their videos. I enjoy what they're doing. I like their travels, and sharing that episode is also huge for us. So if you guys got a social media page or something like that, and you sharing the video, that's massive for us.
So if you like what you see,
if you like what you see, subscribe below.
And share.
And if you'd like to join our Patreon family, click on the link in the description. Or up top. Ding, ding.
cool. Okay, chowie chowie.
Chowie chowie.
Chowie chowie. You gotta do that.
More that I've tried, all the years that I've wasted trying